What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 7, Episode 1. Let's get into it. So Giselle, Karen, Ashley, and Robin all meet up for a picnic. One of the topics of discussion is Ashley and Michael and their so-called divorce. So the women of the show or the producers of the show, I don't know who, but somebody thought that it was a good idea to, like, on one end of the spectrum, you have the mystery of whether or not Robin and Juan are going to get married. And so someone thought that it was really cute that on the other end of the spectrum, you're going to have this storyline of trying to figure out whether Ashley and Michael are actually going to get a divorce. I don't care for either one. It makes no difference. Y'all drew out the whole Juan and Robin, are they going to get married or they're not going to get married? Y'all drew that out for so long, for so many years. I don't care. I don't care if they get married or not. I don't care if they stay together or not. Because you had us kind of like on pins and needles, year one. And then when nothing was really happening with that, it was just, a decision to get married, and then years go by. Then the proposal, then years go by. Then we talk about whether or not they're going to get married, and then more years go by. And to the point where it doesn't matter. Y'all are still living together as a married couple. You're in the same home, raising these kids together. By the time you decide that y'all want to get married or not, these kids are going to be grown and out of the house, and then y'all are probably going to be ready to become grandparents. Nobody cares. Just shut up about it. Just don't get married. Why would you even want to get married? Okay, then Robin talks about, at some point, she talks about whether or not she should sign a damn prenup. Okay, if you're that concerned about your finances and you're considering don't get married. Then just don't get married. If you want to protect your money and you're not sure whether or not y'all should get married, or he's not sure, then just don't get married. If there's so much doubt and there's so much discussion about it and there's so much fear about it, then just don't do it. And now we're talking about Ashley and Michael. They're probably going to continue living together, probably going to have a couple of more damn kids, and still talking about how they're getting a divorce. Not interested. It's stupid. It's boring. Keep that conversation with your attorneys, in your attorney's conference room, at your attorney's office. Don't bring that mess on this damn show. If you're not going to actually do it or get it done, we don't care. Don't talk about it. Then they start talking about Mia. Mia had posted this is another, like, pet peeve of mine. Mia started posting these cryptic messages on her social media about her health, something about having to go to Johns Hopkins Cancer Center to get something checked out. And so, okay, my pet peeve are cryptic messages. If you're going through something and you want to talk about it on social media, then talk about it on social media. Tell us exactly what you're going through. If it's too private and it's too personal, then why are you mentioning it at all on social media? Why are you putting mysterious cryptic messages on? I hate that, because either you're going to tell us what you want us to support you in, what you want us to pray for, or you're going to keep it to yourself. Either way, it's not going to make any difference. Either way, it's not going to make any difference. So the ladies are talking about Mia and her messages on social media, and they are of the consensus that she's doing this for attention. I think that's going a little bit too far. Just because she didn't give more details doesn't necessarily mean that nothing is happening, because you're going to feel stupid if something is happening with Mia and here y'all were making a joke about it or not believing her if she's actually going through something. So I understand the frustration of it all, that someone puts a message out there, but they don't give any details of exactly what's going on. And so you assume that they're just getting attention. But then again, we have to give her the benefit of the doubt that she's not going to joke or lie about, having cancer. Back to Ashley. So Ashley goes on about, they were asking her, like, exactly what prompted this talk of divorce between you and Michael. What was, like, the final last straw? And she says that she's moving in a completely different direction now. She's not the same woman that he married, and she's no longer, like, drinking alcohol. She's no longer interested in, inviting third parties into their relationship or into their bedroom. She's all about monogamy now. And so because of that, Michael is not interested. They're just, going in separate directions. But then she talks about buying a home. She wants to have a house, I'm assuming for her kids, because they live in this high rise apartment that it's not very kid friendly. There's no backyard. It's not very big for the kids to run around in. So she wants to buy a home, a nice big sized home for her children, but she's going to buy it with Michael. Okay, so my whole thing is, and I feel like I'm buying into this storyline of whether or not she's getting a divorce. But if you wanted to buy a home, then why don't you just get the divorce, get your settlement, and then go buy your home under your own name? Why would you buy a house with Michael in the middle of a pending divorce? Or in the middle of a separate, it makes no sense. And I know it's just for storyline purposes, maybe to keep her on the show. Because what else are we going to talk about with Ashley? What else is there to talk about with Ashley? Why else would we want to watch Ashley, in this season if she's not talking about a possible divorce or something major like that? Moving on to Candace. Candace is freezing her eggs. I was a bit confused about that. But she wants to have children, but just not now. So she is going to be freezing her eggs, and so she had her and Chris go to the doctor, and they talk about that whole process. And I guess the question is, not freezing her eggs, freezing her embryos, I think. So she has to schedule an egg retrieval, and of course, Chris has to schedule when he can provide his sample. So because of the scheduling conflict, or Chris not knowing when, I don't even know, but they were arguing in front of the damn doctor about Chris's schedule. So they're arguing back and forth in front of the doctor about that. Candace tells us that her career is taken off. She has opened for SWV. She has opened for Faith Evans. And she's also going to do a relaunch of her album. Chris is no longer working from home. He's gotten a job at some big time restaurant and a big time hotel somewhere over there in Washington, D.C. He's a general manager and he's really, really busy. He's coming home at 1 o'clock in the morning. Candace is not liking that, but I'm pretty sure you like the money, Candace. So what's the problem? So on their way home, they're in the car and they're still arguing about Chris's schedule. I don't even remember what for or what it was about, but it was something to do with Chris's schedule. Candace and Chris are arguing quite a bit. And Chris, I realize he does look a little bit better than last season, but he is definitely not the same Chris of the first season that they were on. He still seems like very morose. He still seems kind of mean. He still seems like very temperamental. So I don't know what's going on there. Moving on to Robin. She meets up with Charisse. I guess Charisse is back as a friend of the show because Monique is gone. Because we know that Monique and Charisse didn't see it for each other because Charisse has started this rumor that Monique's last child was not fathered by her husband Chris, and that Monique was having an affair with her trainer. So Monique is gone, Charisse is in, and Robin tells us that of all the women on the cast, she's known Charisse the longest, and that Charisse is the real grand dame of Potomac because, whatever, she's been around the longest, she was married to a prominent man, so on and so forth. So Charisse asks if Robin and Juan have set a date. Of course they haven't. Why would you even ask, Charisse? Have you not been watching the show? It's just a game. They're not going to get married. It's just a storyline that they think that people are interested in. Robin wants to talk to Juan about getting a prenup. As I mentioned earlier, if you don't want to get married, if you are hesitating about jumping the damn broom, and now you're worried about the finances and you want to have a prenup, why get married? Why don't you just stay the way that y'all have always been for the past 11 years? Robin is the breadwinner. The house is under her damn name. We find that out a little bit later on, that the house is under her name. She's a breadwinner. I don't know what she meant by that. She's the one that makes the most, or she's the only one earning an income. Anyways, Robin doesn't believe that Juan should be entitled to half. If he hasn't earned half, why should he get half? So she wants a prenuptial agreement to address that. He should only be entitled to whatever he's contributed. And Charisse was like, so you're saying that I didn't deserve half in my divorce? And Robin was like, yeah, that's exactly what I think. If you didn't put in the work to get the half, then you shouldn't get half. I don't know. Then they talk about Ashley and whether or not they're actually getting a divorce. I don't need this to be a running theme throughout the whole damn season. I really don't. Until you file those papers, let's not talk about it. Keep that to yourself. Mia. Mia has finally moved into a brand new house in Potomac. She is now living next door to Karen. The home that they moved into is a beautiful home, but it's not their own. They're renting it, and the rent is $10,000 per month. Why? If you have $10,000 to throw away every single month, why don't you just own your own home? I don't understand. That's a lot of money for rent. I guess we're taking a page out of Eugene and Toya's playbook. I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense to me. If you've got money like that, why don't you just buy a home? Um, Karen asks her about her cryptic posts online about her health. And Mia says that lumps had appeared in her body. And so she had to have a chest exam. And so she's waiting for the results. And I was like, do you mean a breast exam? But she said chest exam. And then I think she said that the lumps were appearing like, I don't know where, throughout her body or something. It wasn't just, I don't even know. So she had to, I guess, get a biopsy, and they're waiting for the results of that. I kind of wondered if it was like maybe it was whatever they used for her boobs and her butt, maybe that substance was possibly leaking and crystallizing. I don't know. That's the first thing that popped into my head, that has something to do with her plastic surgery, because she was so proud of all the surgery that she had done. Well, maybe now she's having some type of negative effect from all that surgery. I don't know, but I hope that it's not cancer. She was very vague about her health status. She didn't really go into too much detail. Um, Oh, she was having that conversation with her mother, not Karen. She had that conversation with her mother. Later on, Karen and Ray come over. Karen tells us that she had a breast lift and also had fat injected into her boobs. And we also meet Mia's sister for the first time. This is when Karen and Mia talk. So Karen says that Mia's post about John Hopkins was really frightening. And Mia said that she wanted to be as open and as transparent as possible on her social media. And that's why she talked about it. Girl, you don't have to talk about that. You don't have to understand you want to be open and transparent, but it's okay to keep some things to yourself. It's okay if you don't talk about your health situation or your medical issues. You don't have to talk about that. And I'm just thinking to myself, this better not be a Vicky Golvison and Brooks situation. You know, where when Vicky and her boyfriend Brooks from years ago on the Real Housewives of the OC, you know, she was dating that guy who lied about having cancer. Oh, I pray to God that this is not what's going on with Mia. But already there's too many fuzziness. It's like a lot of things that are very murky and gray in this situation. But let's just hope for the best. Wendy meets up with Peter Thomas at bar one. She's still selling her candles. She's still teaching. She is still doing her speaking engagements. And now on top of that, she's writing a book. So she says she wants to open a Nigerian lounge. She said that it's not her idea to open up a Nigerian lounge. She was having a conversation with somebody, and Peter Thomas had overheard, and he had approached her with possibly getting into business with her and opening up this Nigerian lounge. So then Wendy says that she wants it to be kind of like a lounge slash library. I think she was thinking of Barnes and Nobles, where you have like a coffee shop and then you have like a bookstore and people can sit around and read and drink coffee. And she wants that, but like in a lounge form. So she says she wants to have a lounge, but she also wants books there. And the books are going to be written only by African American authors. And during the daytime, the lounge is going to be open to children to come in and read. What? Just like, you know, her business plan for her candles really wasn't the best. Like, she's not a good businesswoman. Wendy, you're just not a good businesswoman. Please stick with being a professor and your speaking engagements, because when it comes to business, Wendy, I don't think you have what it takes. It didn't make any sense to me. Just like with her candles, she had no business plan, had no idea what the hell she was doing. It looked like it was going to fail, but evidently it's doing extremely well. I don't know. It's doing well. She's still selling candles. A lounge that's open to children in the daytime, and then where people can read books. And Peter was like, no, no, absolutely not. That's not what we're doing. Not today. No, ma'am. So then they talk about business, and he's offering her a 2080 deal. And I was like, she accepted that 2080 deal? It was kind of like her idea, right? A Nigerian lounge. That was her idea. And he just wants to put it into fruition. Why would it be 2080? Why not 50-50 or 60-40? She says her husband, Eddie, is not on board. He doesn't want to really invest in something that's not going to be a guaranteed return. Moving on to Ashley. She goes to see her family. She talks about her divorce. This is where she tells her family that the prenup is null and void because their marriage lasted longer than the time frame that the prenup addressed. So if it was going to be less than 5 years, the prenup would be in effect and she would get nothing. And if it was going to be more than 5 years, then she'd be entitled to whatever half of the marital property. And it's been 8 years or almost 8 years. And her Uncle Lump asks her, have you hired an attorney? Because she says she's going to file for divorce. She says no. And then her Uncle Lump says, well, you don't want to be in a position where he's going to have, control of almost everything. So you need to get an attorney to represent your best interest. She's probably not going to get an attorney because she's probably not even going to get a divorce. God. This is painful. This is so painful, of this so-called, mystery of, oh my God, are they or aren't they? Are they or aren't they? Like I said, not interested. Moving on to Giselle. Giselle's house is done. Okay, Giselle's house to me that's the real mystery. Not whether or not Ashley and Michael are going to get a divorce. Not whether or not Robin and Juan are going to get married. The real mystery is, why does Giselle live in a house like that? It's a nice house. It's cute or whatever. But the way Giselle carries herself and the fact that she was married to a pastor of a mega church. She was the first lady of a mega church. What the hell did that divorce settlement look like? Because I would have thought that she would have at least had a home that was comparable to maybe Karen, even Ashley. I mean, not Ashley, even Candace. But her home is out there in the woods. It's not really much to look at from the outside. She talked about, I have a circular driveway now. I don't know. I just expected more from Giselle. The way she carries herself and how she talks so big, I really would have expected more from Giselle's house. But it is what it is. Her girls have grown. Her twins are 16. Her oldest daughter, I think, is 17 years old. So, yeah, the kids are growing. So now we have Karen's spring fling event, whatever the hell you want to call it. Some type of a spring event to celebrate the coming of spring. Any excuse to get everybody together with a whole bunch of alcohol around. So, Karen and Giselle are having a discussion once again about Ashley and her divorce. When they're talking about Ashley, Ashley walks up. Then they start asking her, like, they really start grilling her, like, girl, are you getting a divorce or what? And she's like, no, I'm not getting a divorce. I didn't say I was getting a divorce. And so they play it back. Sure enough, they asked her, when they played it back to the picnic, I think somebody asked her, are you getting a divorce? And I think she said, yes, that's what I'm doing. But then she later on says, and here I go. I fell into the trap. I'm talking about something that doesn't need to be talked about. So then she says something about how, well, I said that we have to be separated before we can get a divorce. So she's basically trying to say now that they have to have a moment of separation, I guess, to see whether or not they are actually going to get the divorce or if there's any chance of reconciliation. And maybe in some states they require a period of legal separation before you can actually file for divorce. I know in my state, you just get the divorce. If you want a divorce, you get the divorce because in my state, there is no such thing as legal separation. Either you're married or you're not married. There is no in between like legal separation. So I don't know if that's what's going on in her state where they have to be separated for a period of time before filing. I have no idea. And of course, we're not going to get a clear answer from Ashley. Karen thinks that the reason why Ashley even talked about or brought up divorce with Michael was because she wanted to force Michael to buy her a house. That maybe Michael was hesitating with buying a home until she brought up the D word. And so, because now he thinks his wife might be leaving him, he's going to do whatever he can to appease her. So, he's going to go and buy her this damn house. Um, I don't know, y'all. I really don't know. Maybe Michael is involved in some type of a business scheme, and so he has to make it look like him and Ashley are divorcing to protect assets. For I don't know. Oh, um, Ashley says that she made an offer on the home, but it wasn't by herself. She did the offer with Michael, and they're going to buy it under an LLC. So it's not going to be under either one of their names. It's going to be under the name of the LLC. So Giselle tells her point blank to her face. She says, "Ashley, you're lying. You're not going to get a divorce. You're not filing for divorce." Karen says, this is where Karen says it's okay to use Michael for a house, but just don't get, physical with him, because she was talking about how she, wanted to sleep with her husband or whatever. And they're like, "Oh my God, did you actually do it?" And she said, "No, but I thought about it or whatever." Girl, nobody cares. Candace and Chris show up. Chris, I thought, showed up with his own beer, and it looked like he was already irritated. He already looked drunk or mad, but he was a little bit off. He came up with his damn beer, and somebody said, "Oh, there's some specialty cocktails or something like that." And he was like, "No, I got this." He holds up his big old can of beer, then he walked off. They talk about Ashley's divorce again. Candace says she's really happy about the divorce. Because she says, "I'm excited to get to know Ashley without Michael, without her being attached to Michael. I want to know who Ashley is as a person, not just, Michael's concubine." Wendy and Eddie arrive. Wendy goes over to greet Giselle, and this is when the show finally got interesting. She goes over to greet Giselle, and Giselle was like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Get away. Bye-bye. And Wendy was like, "I'm just coming to say hello. I don't want to say hello. Don't say hello to me. Don't touch me. Go away." And I was cracking up. It was so hilarious. So what can Wendy do except walk away with her tail between her legs? Giselle says that Wendy had spent an entire year trying to destroy her. So why now would she do all this, fake hellos and fake hugs and kisses? Like, why now? Giselle is still hurt about the things that Wendy said, about Giselle's fake relationship with, whatever, what was his name? I forgot his name. Her husband, her ex-husband. And Giselle is just upset because Wendy called it out. The whole relationship. Everybody said that relationship between Giselle and Mr. Bryant was not real. It was just for the show. It was not a real relationship. Everybody called it out. So why are you getting mad at just Wendy? Mia and Gordon arrive. And when they show up, Giselle greets Mia by saying, "So this is what cancer, no cancer looks like." And I was like, "Oh my God, Giselle, you don't know. You don't know for sure whether this woman has cancer or not. And you don't want to be on the wrong side of that if it turns out that she actually did." So Giselle calls Mia out for seeking attention, saying, "Hey, you put up that cryptic post on your social media because you just wanted attention. You weren't talking about nothing. You just wanted attention." And Mia said that the results came in, I guess, and that she had lymphoma. So lymphoma is a type of cancer. So that must be, it must be true. Then she had cancer. I don't know. So, but that's the problem when you put up cryptic messages and you don't want to be upfront. If you want to put up a message and you want people to pray for you and support you, just say what it is or don't say nothing at all. You put up these cryptic messages and people are going to start coming up with their own conclusions on what the hell you're talking about. And then you're going to get mad if it's not the conclusion that you wanted. Robin shows up alone. There's no Juan. What's different, right? And yeah, so far, so I don't know because, like I said, the Juan Robin storyline played out. Michael and Ashley, whether or not they're going to get a divorce, that's already played out in episode 1. I don't want to hear about it again. And whether or not Mia has cancer. What? The most interesting thing was how Giselle completely I mean, the way that she like recoiled from Wendy when Wendy tried to approach her, it was almost like it was like Wendy had monkeypox, chickenpox, C-19, Ebola all in one. The way that, Giselle like completely jumped back from Wendy. If she could have climbed over the bar, she probably would have, because she was having none of it. And I know that Wendy's feelings were hurt. I know Wendy's feelings were hurt. Anyways, that's my review. Thank you so much for joining me. On your way out, go ahead and rate the video. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.